Hi, it's Amber. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. And guess what? It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. All we need to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Good luck.
Good evening, guys. Welcome to Double A. Here is today's another solve case episode. Just a quick reminder to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Amber's got the YouTube up. We just links as soon as we get videos up on there. I will post the links and the names on the description, so look out for those. Um, and if you guys hear any kind of licking, my dog is literally beside me licking his paws.
My hamsters are going at it, exercising in their wheel. So just excuse background noises. We are humans, so we have human lives.
Yeah, normally I would have my dogs put up at this time, but I have to take them back out shortly because it just started storming pretty bad. So I have to take them out shortly again. So there's no point in putting them up. So they're on the couch. All three of them are on the couch with me right now.
Oh, big babies.
So tonight, it kind of hits home only because it happened in the Philippines and it's with a Filipino woman, which is my home country. And we are talking about the case of Jennifer Laude. And she was born November 4th, 1987. And I had to search far and wide to get her personal information because all there was her case. It
Wow.
was not, there was hardly any information on her. So she was one of four kids. She was raised by a single mother. There was no information on her dad, which is actually um, not that uncommon in the Philippines. So Jennifer Laude was actually born Jeffrey. She is trans, so she has
How Philippines feel about trans people?
not too well. There's it even to this day. Um, Even though there's a lot of gays um, walking around, there's a lot of gays on TV. It's still kind of taboo to a lot because like 90% of the Philippines are Catholics.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very religious. But I will say this though, if there was the families of these gays or trans, they don't push them away like a lot of American families do,
Gotcha.
regardless of their religion. It's
So
still
they
they
don't have
think
to live in fear?
no, they fear other people, but not their family.
Gotcha.
So that's actually the main reason why this case has popped up. Because she is trans, she was murdered by Lance Corporal Joseph Scott Pemberton. He was 19. He is the member of the 2nd Battalion in the U.S. Marine Corps. And they were docked in the Philippines for military exercises or mission exercises. And so he was on break. They went to a bar. Him and two other Marines went to a bar and seen Jennifer with her friend. So there's not a lot of information on Joseph himself as well. Anything you find online is mainly about the case because it is so well known in the Philippines and in the military. So there's not a lot of information on their personal lives, just mainly about the case and what's there. So there's actually a lot to this case. And you would think that, okay, well, they know who did it. It's easy to just arrest them. But you forget you're talking about a military person in a foreign land that has different policies. And technically, since he was military, you're going through the U.S. embassy, the U.S. laws, as well as the Filipino laws. And it is well known that military men go out, to the Philippines and go to these bars to meet women. So what Jennifer was during the day she worked at a beauty salon, either washing hair or cleaning the shop up. And
So
then
she
at
wasn't a
night,
stylist.
no, but she was working to be one.
Okay.
At night, she was a sex worker, and she was doing her best to make everything to make ends meet basically for her mom. She had bought her mom a house. Everything that's in that house, clothes, decorations, furniture, was all bought by Jennifer. She wanted her mom to live comfortably, even though she herself was struggling. She didn't want her mom to be struggling. She basically was trying to repay her mom back. So she had made promises to her mom saying that she's going to open up a beauty salon and one day she's going to make it so big to where they don't have to worry about anything. Don't have to worry about where food's coming from, where money's going to be coming from.
Just
It
having big dreams, basically.
Yeah, she was going towards that dream. And in order for her to do that, she would be sex worker at night.
Now, did her mother know that she was a sex worker?
Yes.
Okay.
So did her fiance. So her fiance is a German born man. And at this time, they had a long distance relationship. He was planning on getting married to her, and she was going to move to Germany,
Now,
but
did the
not
fiance
until,
know
yes,
about the gender? Okay.
yes. Um, the fiance knew of everything
Okay.
and also knew that she was a sex worker at night, knew exactly what her dreams were and why she was doing all this stuff. And it was basically for her mother. And he respected that because in the Philippines, we are known to be very family oriented. And you have to, in the Philippines, you have to have talent, you have to have the looks and the smarts to be able to get where you are. And it's not how it is in the US where we have it very well at school. So we don't have to pay for books and stuff until we hit college. In the Philippines, once you hit first year high school, you have to start paying for your books, you have to start paying for your entrance fees, you have to start paying for all this just like you would do college here. And that makes a lot of people drop out.
Understandably.
So you see a lot of poverty. So when I say looks, believe it or not, when you go and look for jobs, they have a criteria. You have to be this certain height, this certain weight, um, to be able to work. So there's not a lot of jobs out there. So for
That's a lot of
Jennifer,
discrimination.
it really is. So for Jennifer, those were really her only other option was she happened to be working at a beauty salon during the day, which did not pay a lot. And to make ends meet, she had to do sex working at night. So at October 11th, 2014, her and her friend Barbie had went to Ambien's disco bar. Either she was working there or they just went there for a couple of drinks over in Olongapo City. And excuse me. And so that's where they had met Joseph Pemberton and two of his friends. And so Joseph and Jennifer actually hit it off. He did not know that Jennifer was trans. She didn't just come out and say it. So
I mean, who would just disclose that right off the bat?
yeah, so that, wasn't disclosed. And then Barbie had went off with one of his friends. So they decided to go across the street to Cell Zone Lodge.
Wait a minute. Is Barbie trans as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's her girl name.
Okay.
Is
Gotcha.
Barbie. So they went across the street to Cell Zone Lodge. This was approximately around 11:05 p.m. The cashier remembered them and said that she had assigned them a room. And about several minutes after Pemberton, Scott and I'm sorry, Joseph and Jennifer, after a few minutes of them entering their room, Barbie leaves the hotel. Like, I don't know what happened there. She just like left. At
Okay.
maybe 10 minutes max, she was there. And she had left. So his Marine friend had also left. And Barbie said that they went their separate ways. The guy went back to the base. Barbie went back to the bar, to Ambien's, across the street. So that left Jennifer and Joseph alone together. And about 30 minutes later, Joseph leaves the room and leaves the door slightly open. And 15 minutes later, after that, the cashier had noticed that the room was open and noticed something was sticking out of the bathroom. So she peeked in to see if everything was okay. And she had discovered Jennifer dead. She was
Wow.
naked, wrapped in a bed sheet, and her head was submerged in the toilet bowl.
Wow.
Yeah. So Jennifer's sister, Mary Lou, files a murder complaint against Joseph, who is still docked at the base
Okay.
in Olongapo City. This was on October 15th is when she filed the complaint
Of what year?
of 2014.
Okay.
So she files that complaint, and on 2 days later, on October 17th, the Filipino National Police and the crime laboratory had officially released to the public that confirming that Jennifer had died from what is it? How do you say
Asphyxiation?
that? Yes, there you go. I can't talk today because I'm actually like freezing cold right now. Yeah. So she had died from
Being suffocated.
basically. So the story goes that they were in the hotel, they were fixing to do the dirty, and Scott had, or I keep calling him Scott, but Joseph basically found out that Jennifer still has male parts. And
Of course, that like pisses him off, sends him to a furious rage, and he decides to kill her. Wow.
basically, so he told the police that he didn't mean to kill her. He just meant to hurt her because it hurt his dignity, or to save his so-called dignity.
Who was gonna know that he slept with a man? Well, a transitioned woman is
Probably the other friend that went with Barbie, because I assume Barbie told him that they were trans.
I mean, I don't see why the sexuality matters, but I guess it does rile up some people.
Yeah. So, um, basically, he was just saying that it hurt, like he was trying to save his dignity, and he didn't really mean to um, kill Jennifer.
But hurting
But
Jennifer to save his dignity is stupid. It makes no sense. That doesn't do anything. It doesn't change the fact that you were still with a trans person, regardless. Hurting them, killing them, or not doing anything does not change facts. It's still out there. The fact is, he was still with a trans person.
right. So, according to him, Jennifer had slapped him for because he confronted her about so-called pretending to be a woman. And the lawyers, Jennifer's family's lawyers, had contradicted that and was like, okay, if you didn't mean to hurt her, why was her head submerged in the toilet?
Right. Was there any noticeable lacerations on her body?
So the only thing was that she was choked out before she passed.
So he choked her and then like put her head into the toilet, I
Right.
assume, to make it look got sick and fell into the toilet. I'm just assuming there. That's just pure speculation that I'm just guessing. He was trying to cover it up.
Probably. But he wanted the body to be found, it seems, because I mean he left the door open or slightly open.
Or maybe he was just too worked up. He wasn't thinking straight.
Probably.
I
Who
mean,
knows?
if it's his first kill, he was probably all over the place.
And I will let you guys know, and if you guys look up this case, there's a lot of them that says that he's a private first class. So he's not a private first class. He's actually a lance corporal in the Marine Corps. And that's coming from the military times, which is directly from the Marine Corps source, that he is a lance corporal. He's not a private first class.
Also, we're not investigators. We're just merely discussing the case. So don't run with everything that we're saying. We're just talking about it.
Yeah. So basically, the family goes after Scott, and they have to jump through a whole bunch of loops, and
Yeah,
they
because
have
you're
to
going against two different countries now.
Yeah. So they have to. The Filipinos are now upset and want the military gone.
Yeah.
Because according to the Filipinos, this is not the first time an American came in, killed somebody, and wasn't arrested for it.
And justice needs to be served.
Right. And we're talking about a lot of foreigners come in to America, not just Americans. A lot of foreigners will come to to the Philippines, go find a prostitute or a sex worker, which there are plenty of them, and rape them, hurt them. There's actually quite a bit of murders that they know who killed them, but they're still to this day still trying to go
I think
through
that is crazy
embassies.
that people will go for the people of the street like they're not cared for, like they're not wanted. Like some of them truly are not cared for, truly are not wanted by their family, truly are not accepted. But there's some people that truly love doing that. Like, there's different spectrums there. But regardless, nobody's life is more important than the next person. So to go after what you would call low on the totem pole and kill them or rape them or just hurt them, be brutal towards them, shows how psycho you are. Like,
Right. And
that's crazy.
I mean, just because they are sex workers doesn't mean that they deserve to get raped, that they want to get raped, that they
And it
want
doesn't mean that they're a
all
bad
this stuff.
person.
Exactly. Like in Jennifer's case, she was trying to get money not only to achieve her goal, but to make sure that her mother did not work so that her mother could live comfortably.
And I'm
Did
sure that
not,
she was smart about doing it. I'm pretty sure, even though she was a sex worker, I'm pretty sure the condoms were involved. I'm pretty sure,
yeah,
a lot of people are smart about that. Some people do higher scale sex working where they deal with the lawyers, the doctors, the big ballers, and they get, you will never be able to tell that they're a sex worker, but you play the game so well. Honestly, I can't hate on a sex worker because you got a beautiful body, you put it out there and you get paid to do what you do. I can't hate that. That's pretty smart. In my opinion.
right. I mean,
Use what God
technically,
gave you.
if I've seen it online, if you are married, I mean, technically,
Technically,
you're
you get
you're
paid for
having
your
sex.
services.
Yeah, you're having sex.
Yeah.
You may have just a side job, but
Yeah.
your husband
Right.
still pays for
Yeah.
majority of the stuff that you have, right?
Right.
So
It's not a totally, it's not a bad
as
idea.
long as they are keeping safe, there's
And protect, it's, if
side
everybody stays
effects of
safe.
them.
Yeah.
There's
Don't
actually
pass
side
around
effects of them
anything.
that you will never know did that kind of
Yeah.
work. Um, but so basically, he back to the story. He strangled her, basically choked her out, put her head in the toilet. Um, and the Filipino lawyers went to the embassy. You're talking about reporters, Filipino reporters at the gate of the military bases, wanting answers and just wanting, like, basically his arrest. They couldn't serve him his warrant until it went through the U.S. embassy.
Now, waiting for the warrant, was he dishonorably discharged or was he still active?
No, he was still active, but none of the ships were allowed to leave the Philippines.
So they had to
So
stay
they
there
were
extra
stuck
time.
there. Yes.
So
Not just
now,
the
not only has
ship,
he pissed off
the
the Philippines,
entire unit was stuck there.
so not only has he pissed off the Philippines, but now he's pissed off his unit because now they're stuck and they can't get to their families or to the next thing that they have to
Yeah,
do.
they couldn't continue their military exercises. They could really were stuck in their ships within the base. They could not go
Oh,
outside
so
of the
now
base.
you're gonna catch ass with both sides. I'm gonna be pissed off if I was on that ship. You better hide from me, buddy.
Yeah, I mean they were not allowed to like leave, and the base in Olongapo City, it didn't look that big. It honestly just looked like just a little tiny base. You would have to leave the base to go and
Wait,
find
were they
restaurants.
allowed to leave the base at this
No,
time? So they
no.
had to stay on base. So what about resources? How were they to
Because,
get their
tech,
resources?
because technically, I mean, they had food on their ships and stuff, but technically the base is U.S. property.
Gotcha.
So they could not, they advised everyone not to leave for their safety because you're talking about reporters,
Yeah.
protesters right there at the
And
gate.
that's rightfully so. Like, that that needed the outrage that it received. That is ridiculous that that happened. And
Right.
it should have never came to that. I mean, he's young. If he would have thought about it rationally, how stupid he sounded, he wouldn't have done it. Things wouldn't have got that far. You think about that. You're already in too deep once you went into the hotel room. So at that point, you're already in the room. You might as well, if you you might as well either end it, say, I'm sorry, I don't, this is not my lifestyle. Do as you please. Goodbye, part your ways, or continue and have sex. But you don't get to play God and choose to take someone's life or hurt someone because of their sexuality.
Exactly. And here, so it takes roughly about close to a month before Pemberton actually goes in front of the judge,
Are
the
you
Filipino
kidding
judge.
me? And this is
So
coming from that have to deal with the U.S. and the Filipinos working
yeah,
together. That's why it's taking so long. Yeah.
so because they couldn't serve the warrant until it went through the embassy, the U.S.
Jesus.
embassy, which at the time in 2014 Obama was in office,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the deciding of signing, getting the judge to sign that paper.
So, what did he have a comment on this case?
There was no comment.
Because I'm wondering why in 2014 there wasn't much media coverage, because this is not a case that is widely known.
It was very known to military and around Boston area because that's where he was from.
But it seems quite hush hush everywhere else. Like, I've never
Everywhere.
heard of this. There was no explosion on any kind of media outlets that I was using in 2014, which would be the same that I'm using now. There was
Right.
this
But you
this
know
case
what's
was
so funny? The US, there wasn't a lot of information on the US side, but there was a ton everywhere else.
See, this is the thing. The U.S. needs to quit covering stuff up, thinking that we're not gonna figure this stuff out. This is terrible that this happened, and it was on foreign soil. That gives us such a bad name. Not all U.S., not all American citizens are like this piece of shit. And let's just face it,
Exactly.
he's just a downright piece of shit. Like,
So
it's
on
terrible.
when they finally got the warrant and was finally able to say, "Hey, you have to appear in front of a Filipino judge," a Filipino judge. You are not
Good.
allowed to have no kind of American representative.
Good.
So there was actually a lot of Filipino lawyers that did not want to be on the defense team, but they got his mother, who was in Boston, paid a ton of money for lawyers to defend him. There's nothing really to defend. The
You
all the
did
evidence.
it.
So the prosecution on December 15th, 2014, decided to pursue murder charges because, quote unquote, there was a presence of treachery, cruelty, and abuse of superior strength.
Of course.
And then Pemberton decided he wanted to appeal that, and the Secretary of Justice of the Philippines denied that appeal,
Of course.
all on December 15th. Now,
Of course. Why would they not? Why would they grant that?
he is actually stuck in the Philippines. He cannot leave since he got that warrant. He's not
Good.
allowed to leave. So he himself was not allowed to leave. So on February 23rd, so 2 months later, he was brought again to court and he entered the not guilty plea.
Why the fuck would he? Oh my god, this is beyond me.
Yeah.
That's beyond me. That's like, oh, that's just I feel like that's like using your privilege, basically. When you
Oh, it gets
downright
worse.
oh, it.
It gets worse.
Oh, okay.
It gets
Continue. Let me
worse.
hear how worse it
So a
gets.
month later, on March 16th, the actual trial begins. Okay. So the local courts have exactly 1 year to complete any legal proceedings before he can just, all murder cases will drop.
So they have to work quite rather quickly
This
within
is
this year.
under the visiting forces agreement that is between the Philippines and the U.S.
So the whole time that these cases are going on, he's going back and forth to the courthouse, basically to the judge. Is he housed in a jail, or where's he at this whole time?
And on the base, he's housed in the security of the U.S. military base, but he is not allowed. He was not discharged, but he also was not getting paid from the military.
So he was like on probation.
Basically,
But
so
was
he
the
was
other people allowed
technically
to
in
leave?
the military jail,
Mhm.
but within the base because they were afraid of the Filipino people coming in and
What
doing
were the
what.
other people that came over with him? Were they allowed to leave at this point,
Yes,
or were they still stuck?
no,
Okay,
they
so he
were
was
to leave.
basically by himself and just with the people that are stationed to live in
Yeah,
the Philippines to work for the military. Got it.
right.
Okay.
Anybody that they thought had anything to do with it had a warrant to stay, but from what I read, none of them none of them did. It was just Pemberton, and they have security cameras that proved that his friends actually left shortly after, so they had nothing to do with
Yeah, that was strictly
anything.
on him.
Right. So,
Okay.
and the base log showed the time that they came back on base. So it proved
So
their
they all
alibi.
checked out. So
Right.
this is just 10.
On
And
him.
I'm just assuming, just from the sound of this case, I'm just assuming that Pemberton is a white male
He is.
because it just sounds like a lot of privilege here.
It's a 19-year-old. So now, keep in mind they have 1 year, okay, to prove that he's guilty, and
I
or
mean,
else.
what else is there to prove? They have
So,
it's all right there. The evidence is right there.
so he constantly was um, doing stuff to push back proceedings. So you may have the evidence, but if you push back proceedings, that's still within the 1 year limit.
So he's just
Kept
his
on pushing it
mother
back.
must be in his ear like, this is what you need to do, this is what you need
Oh,
to do.
his mother came to the Philippines.
I
Hit,
figured
and,
Mother Bear.
the mom, Jennifer's mom, came and wanted to speak to Pemberton's mom, but she refused to talk to Jennifer's mom, but went on TV and said, "Oh, my son will never do that. This does not sound like him. He's a intelligent man, and he's very family oriented."
That means nothing.
When I was watching it, I said, "Oh my gosh." So if you guys want to know more about her, before I continue, if you guys want to know more about her, if you have Amazon Prime, there is a documentary on her, um, and the documentary is named "Call Her Ganda." Ganda means beautiful or pretty in my language, which is Tagalog. And basically, that was her nickname when she was growing up. So she knew that she was the wrong sex ever since she was little, according to
Yeah.
her mom, because she was
Also,
always
Amazon Prime now offers that thing where you can watch together, watch parties. That's what it's called.
yeah,
They have watch parties. So join it with
yeah.
your
So
friends.
that documentary was actually quite sad, and it shows a little bit of the court proceedings, and you are they've interviewed her friends, her fiance, her mom, and her lawyers, her family's lawyers. So now jump to June 30th. Okay, so there's a big gap because he pushed back more of the courts. So we're jumping from March to June. So March, January, February, March, April, May, June. 3 months. So 3 out of 12 months.
But this young lady passed away in October 2014, right?
Passed away, yes, on October 11th, 2014. They have a year from March 16th
Okay.
to complete any legal proceedings. So June 30th, 2015, he admitted that he had a fight with her, but claimed that it was self-defense
No.
because he discovered that she was a man who was performing sexual acts on him.
Self-defense because he got head? Self-defense?
Basically.
You gave me head, so I feel uncomfortable, you die.
Yeah.
That's the most dumb thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
He probably felt ashamed that head felt so good. Let's put it out there.
So they kept on pushing back and pushing back and pushing back. So finally, it was getting close to their 1 year
Yeah.
uh deadline, basically.
Yeah, that 1 year mark.
On December 1st, so you're jumping from June to December.
And we're in 2015.
Yes,
So
in
this young lady's
2015.
been dead over a year.
Right. And the courts finally find him guilty of homicide and sentenced him, this is the worst part, sentenced him to 6 to 12 years in
For
jail.
murder.
He was 19 when he killed her. So he is now 20 by this time.
Mm-hmm.
So by the max of 12 years, he would be out at the age of 32. Which is still technically young.
And he went in like 5 years ago, so he technically could get out next year at the earliest.
So this was that was the so that was the ruling in December 1st. But Jennifer's mother was not happy with the fact that it was just 6 to 12 years.
Yeah, that's stupid.
And to her, when she did, it actually made me cry. So she was trying to tell the reporter, she said that Pemberton's mom would not talk to her. She said, I just want to talk to you mother to mother.
Yeah.
She was like, you get to talk to your son. He may be behind jail, but you get to talk to him. You get to see him face to face.
He has a life.
Yeah, and he will be out and get to sleep, in the
3
same
meals
area.
a day in medical.
And she was like, she said, but I don't get to see my daughter. I don't get to hear her voice. I don't get to make sure that she's okay. I don't get to laugh with her, joke with her. And she's like, I just want to talk to you as a mother. From mother to mother, I just want to talk to you.
Yeah.
She said, we can have our lawyers there if you want to, if you feel more comfortable. I'm not going to attack you. I'm not there to attack you. I just want to talk to you as a mother.
And of course, the lady turned it down, right?
Basically. She said no. She didn't really do an apology either to the family.
But I mean, it's not really for her to apologize on, though. She didn't murder the girl. So, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't expect her to apologize because she didn't commit the crime.
Right. So, on January 6th of 2016, Pemberton's legal team filed a motion for a reconsideration of the guilty verdict.
Why? Why would he think that would be? I'm just over here with a dumb look, like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So then they filed two motions. One is to reconsider the guilty verdict. The other one is to reduce the penalty.
Neither one of those should
12
be an
years.
option.
Right. Honestly, if it was really up to the Filipino people, he would have been stoned to death.
Yeah, I mean,
12
rightfully
years
so.
in jail.
Rightfully so. You've got to be able to take someone's life to get to that point where because there is a moment, whether you snap or not, you know what the fuck you're doing. You know that life is leaving. So you've got to, he did not stop himself.
Nope.
So you don't deserve that. Why do you feel like you deserve another chance. You played God and you took a life because you were ashamed and you knew what you were doing. There's no way, there's no denying that. You saw her life leave her body.
Right. So he appealed. None of those went through. It got denied.
Of course.
So then if those got denied, this was the stupidest part. He tried to appeal to reverse his guilty verdict.
Which is stupid.
So yeah.
Just dumb.
According to the Court of Appeals, Pemberton unabashedly plunged Jennifer's head in the toilet and never thought of Jennifer as a human being, but as a fecal matter due to her sexual orientation.
And I believe that. Just the way that it's a hate crime. The way that is done is pure hatred. Like,
it really is.
That's terrible. And my heart breaks hearing the story for Jennifer. And I have not seen how Jennifer looks, but I just know that she's beautiful.
Oh my God. I'm telling you, you guys need to watch
I'm just saying, all Filipinos that I've seen are beautiful, except for Arianne. But anyway.
Shut up. But I mean, it looked like she goes to like beauty contests for gays and trans. But you would never tell. Like I said, she had her boobs done.
You know what?
And she was in the middle of saving up to get her bottom half.
Was she skinny?
Mhm.
You know what? Because when he said that she looked like a beauty contest, you know what? I might have heard about this case. I might have. Because I was like, oh my God, she's so beautiful to be. I was like, you cannot tell that she's trans at all. I believe this woman.
You really could. I mean, like at her earlier photos, yeah, and when she's just laying out, but when she's got her makeup done, she really doesn't. And like I can understand a lot of people mistaking her for a woman at night, and you're at a bar, so I'm pretty sure you had a couple of drinks already. Well, actually, so here's the thing. Pemberton was 19, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And in the Philippines, you're actually allowed to drink at 19.
Okay. So he was
then
drunk?
on top of that, you are a military personnel, which they consider it's okay. They don't follow the U.S. 21 age law over there.
So, do you think that he could have used that? I was drunk. I mean, did they do?
Here's the thing. He never claimed that he was drunk. It didn't say if he had alcohol in his system. It was just that they found his excuse that he was doing self-defense.
That's stupid. I don't see wait, self-defense because you got head? That's dumb. Self-defense.
He said that Jennifer lied, which technically she never even stated that she was trans. So it was by omission. And she, like, once he found out, that's when they started arguing.
When you first meet somebody, oh, by the way, go have sex. I don't see that being a part of a conversation. You know?
Right. So
I mean, what part of the night do you disclose your sexuality or your gender? What part? When is it acceptable to come out and say, by the way, I'm trans? Like, what is it? Does it matter?
Apparently to him it does. I mean, okay, so you got to understand, the Marine Corps, they're men's men. Like, they, how can I say that? They are like rude as shit. And I know this by hand because my husband was a Marine, now it's Air Force. And then when they would go to the Marine Corps ball, I mean, you're talking about a whole bunch of Marines standing right there, and they just talk shit. And I mean, you can't like I can see this happening. Like when they find out, that I think in his head, if anybody found out that she was that he slept with a trans woman, he would that would end his military career, not knowing that killing her wouldn't end your military
That's
career.
stupid. Yes, well, that's what I'm thinking. Now you have to think about the Marine. Think about that '70s show, Red Foreman. He was a Marine, so think about how he was and how he didn't show affection and how the way he was. That's how they act, but a little bit worse.
Yeah, they're very tough. Like from what I hear in boot camp, and I will, this coming up Sunday, I'll probably. Well, I don't know if my husband will be available to talk more about the Marine Corps,
No,
but
love you, Dan, but no, no,
but I
we will
mean
not do that
it's
to you.
they're very strict and very hardcore, um, more so than the other military branches. But on April 26, 2017, he filed another motion for reconsideration. Yeah.
Tenacity. You got to give it to him. He keeps trying.
So this was his last chance to appeal before he has to take it to the Supreme Court.
And what did that verdict come back as?
Oh, he's still in jail. He's still got the 6 to 12 years, but his family has to pay $90,000 to Jennifer's family.
Rightfully so. Honestly, rightfully so.
And Jennifer's mom, bless this woman's heart. Like when she found out the court had ordered them to pay $90,000 to her and her family, she was like, "It's not about the money."
Right.
She said, "It's really not about the money. I just want him to own up to what he did to my daughter, and I want his mom to own up that her son did this."
Yeah. And right, like at the end of the day, no amount of money can bring back a life that you taken away. $90,000 will never amount to Jennifer's life. Never. It will never amount to Jennifer's life. So honestly, I can, what like she said, it's not about that. You can live without that. It's hard to live without Jennifer.
Right. And I mean, she was so um what is it? So supportive of Jennifer's sex and what Jennifer wanted to do. And because, she did have 3 other kids, but they were all close to each other.
Yeah.
And when I watched the video of her seeing her daughter in a casket,
It's
I
terrible.
mean, she broke down. She didn't know what to do. You see a lot of Jennifer's friends trying to comfort her. She doesn't want to be comforted. Like she just wants her daughter back. And knowing that she's not going to have her back, it hit her really
Yeah.
hard. But she was super proud of everything that Jennifer had accomplished. That she has all of Jennifer's, um, I think it was like her school uniform is still hanging up at her mom's house. All her pictures, like she was so super proud. And she would just tell people, Jennifer had these big dreams. She was working towards them.
Yeah.
And I mean, she really did. And you guys may not think that, owning your own beauty salon is a big dream, but that in the Philippines, it really is a big deal.
Yeah.
Especially owning your own business is a huge deal over there. And that was her number one priority is to own a business so that way her mom and her siblings don't have to worry and don't have to work.
She had a beautiful ambition there. Her
She
life
had
just
a
got
beautiful
snuffed right
heart.
out of her. Leave a link to the Amazon Prime on our Facebook when we upload this, and The video, I'm pretty sure you could find that video on YouTube, correct?
Of
Or was
the
that part of the documentary?
her interview.
What you said about the mother watching her being put in the casket.
Oh yeah, that's in the documentary.
Okay, so we'll leave the link to the documentary when we upload this. Check it out and comment and let us know your feelings about this case. This case has got me a little bit upset, you know. This is a true hate crime, and
I mean, as a
justice is not
mother, because you're a
fully
mother,
served. Yeah, I have
because
3
you're.
kids, 2 boys and 1 girl, and justice was not fully served. I still feel like
Mm-mm.
he got off scot-free. He went 6 to 12 years. That's nothing.
Like I said, he was 19 when this happened, so he was 20 when he got that conviction of 6 to 12 years. So even if he maxed at 12 years, he still gets out at the age of 32.
And it's still young. They still have more life to live. She never will breathe again. And that was in 2014. She'll
And I
never get
mean,
to have a child. She'll never get to have her business. She'll never get to do that. But he'll have a chance to do all that.
his family was well off, so he, even if he can't find a job, he still gets to live in a come home to his family. He
And
has a
he'll still
whole
be
bunch of kids.
supported by
Right,
US money.
exactly.
This is not right and it's not fair, and it sucks that Jennifer's life got snuffed away from her in that manner. True horrible. This is a horrible hate crime.
I mean, there's still a lot of Filipinos actually to this day trying to extend his guilty verdict and keep him in the Filipino jail.
I mean, he deserves that.
Um,
He knew what he was doing. He's not an idiot. He knew what he was doing. He was not under the influence. 19. He knew it was stupid. Yeah, but he knew what he was doing. He thought about it and he did it.
mhm.
He just didn't think about it enough to not do it.
Yeah, it it was not a very pretty case, and
And it didn't take long after they entered the hotel. It didn't take long. That's why I'm like, this this is a very quick
45
thing.
minutes.
It was very
45
quick. Yeah, that
from the time that they entered to the hotel clerk finding her.
and
45
that's
minutes.
very quick. 45 minutes goes by like that. We've already been on here for 51 minutes. So think about that. In the time that we've spoken, he's been in a hotel with her, received oral, and then killed her and left.
Yeah,
That's
basically.
terrible. It's so terrible. He deserves every bit of everything that comes to him. He does. He does not deserve to get out as a free man. The only way he should leave that jail should be when he dies. That's how I feel about it.
I I agree wholeheartedly.
That's how I
Like I
feel
said,
about it.
there's
What about
still
you guys, double A fans?
Jennifer's mom is fighting for the rights for Filipinos. There's actually laws now where foreigners don't get off scot free anymore.
And no slap on the wrist, we know
Filipino
6 to 12
lawmakers,
years.
yeah, Filipino lawmakers are um, working together to make sure that this does not happen because they're
Good for
finding
you,
those
Philippines.
easy targets, so they're
Yeah,
making it, to where they can't just come in and do what
that's
they.
good. And that's rightful. That's much needed. No,
So they're
guys, you
getting
can't play God
cases
and
getting
decide.
back.
Yeah, you can't
We're getting
decide
back.
whose life you want to take because you don't like
Exactly.
who they are, what they're trying to be. Just because you don't like that person does not mean you get to kill them. If you don't like that person, just leave.
Yep, I agree. So you guys let us know what you guys think of this case. Like again, if you guys want to um, research her, her name is Jennifer Laude, and um,
Spell the last
I will
name.
post a link. Laude.
There you go, guys. Check us out on
So
all of our platforms.
I will post a link, and you guys follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Email us what you think, or if you guys just want to email us randomly and just say hi, If you're
Whatever.
not on any of the other platforms, just communicate with us. We'd love to hear from each and every one of you guys. And we will be back Thursday for Amber.
No preview. I'm not giving
See,
you a preview.
even I don't get to know this, you guys.
Nope.
I
Nope.
don't get to know this.
It's
That's the
secrets.
whole fun of it. We don't really know
Nope.
what the other one's going to be talking about, and that's why we like talking about cases that are not very well known, because you get the shock factor
Yeah.
of how ridiculous these people can get.
Literally nothing that we talk about is pre-discussed. We record as we're discussing it. So what you guys are hearing as she's telling it is my first time hearing it. Vice versa. When I present my case, your first time hearing it is the same time she's first hearing it. So the reactions that you hear from us are our true reactions.
Right.
And so I'm not giving you a teaser. I'm not going to tell you what the case is going to be about. Just wait for us to upload and listen to us for the hour on Thursday.
So we will see you guys back on Amber's um, Anchor, and we will post that up when it comes
Everywhere.
to that time.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys Thursday night.
Double A signing out.